Welcome to Believe in Panthers here on Believe Podcast Networks here live. It's our first edition instant reaction show. The Carolina Panthers open up the 2025 season with a loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars. That could have been worse than it actually was. Desmond Johnson and the Panthers' all-time leading rusher, Jonathan Stewart, in the house. 26-10, your final. I need a minute. So, Stu, I'm gonna turn this over to you just to give the words to start this off. I need a second to collect myself. Like, pick us up here because I've got concerns. I've got a whole list of notes of concerns here,
and you should be concerned. Okay, everybody that's coming on right now, we're gonna give a couple minutes right quick for everybody to dial in, because we in this together. Okay. Carolina Panther fans, this is the Believe in Panthers podcast. I choose to do this podcast because I believe, simply put, right?
Yep.
And as a believer, we go through some things. And right now we're going through it.
Do you believe?
Let me push this out to my ex right quick, my Twitter. Let me see.
It just, the weather delay kind of, I don't know if that even affected what we were doing.
Yeah, we'll say that. You know, there's a lot there that was thrown at us.
There's a whole lot of stuff going on. Okay? Yeah. The weather delay went on like an hour. We didn't even get back on the field for the second quarter until like 3 o'clock or something like that. So that kind of did some weird stuff.
But I'll say this, though. Look, welcome back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
Did you miss this? Did you miss
me? Did you miss me? Oh man, look, I don't care what happens on that field. Ain't got nothing to do with us. And it feels good to say that because I used to play football. To be on the other side of a loss like that right now,
days like this sometimes
it doesn't feel good at all. First week 1, you always want to bring your A game, and Carolina Panthers did not do that today. It's an away game. Jacksonville, it was hot. They were actually, the NFL sent some warnings out there as far as how hot it was.
Yeah.
I've been in situations like that. I remember my rookie year, we went to Tampa Bay, and it was extremely hot. I'm not sure how hot it is in Jacksonville. I didn't look into all that, but you got to be able to deal with the elements, and there's no excuse. The away game, 26-10 road loss to open up week 1 in Jacksonville. It's a blend of familiar problems, Desmond. Turnovers, penalties, missed opportunities. We're screaming, the week 1 blues at this point, right?
Yeah.
And we did not want to be in this point, but here we are. And we are going to help each other through this, because once again, this is the Believe in Panthers podcast where we believe. And for all the believers, come on over to the pod whenever you feel like you're discouraged, lost in the valley. We're here to bring you to the peaks. Okay. And so,
do you believe?
There's a lot that happened today, and I can't wait for us to get to it. But this is our first time. This is my first time doing a post-game reaction. And so I know Desmond has done them in the past.
I actually
right now, y'all
should
have heard Desmond. Y'all should have heard Desmond before we got on here. He was hot.
Oh, I'm still hot. Yeah,
I'm still hot.
I'm like I'm at a when a pot starts to boil and you turn it down a little bit, still boiling a little bit. Yeah. I'm right there. I'm simmering right now. Let's just get into it because this is year 3 of Bryce Young, right? The first thing I want to start off with, Tat McMillan's going to be a baller. Let's start off with
he the truth. He already told us that he is him.
Yeah, having said that, for all the people out there that tooted the horn for Tat McMillan up to the draft process and then went around beating their chests after we picked them, actually, good for you. I'm happy y'all were right. But that did not help us today. Like the Panthers gave up 200 yards rushing on the ground for the 8th consecutive regular season game.
Consecutive time.
They ripped off a 70-plus yard run on us. They
couldn't stop Trevor Etienne, man.
And to me, I'm just like, today was the amplification of what I was saying going into the draft. While it would be nice to have another wide receiver, we just got one in the first round last year, and we really need help in the trenches. Like, we need to stop the run. We just watched Dallas trade away a top 3 defensive player in the league because he couldn't help them against the run. He was a great pass rusher, but he couldn't really help them stop the run. So they traded him away. And we're sitting there happy that we picked up Ted McMillan and a couple of almost catches today, but it did not help. Bryce Young, and I'm looking at, when we did the show with Bucky Brooks to set up this game earlier in the week, the FanDuel bet of the week that we had in there, we were looking at Bryce Young. It was over under, I think, 213 and a half yards passing. And we laughed at it like, we should get that rolling out of bed. Apparently FanDuel knew something that we didn't, because Bryce Young, 18 for 35, 154 yards on the day. And most of that came in that last little drive they had when they got down the field and scored the touchdown. 2 interceptions, a lost fumble, and 2 turnovers on downs. And one of those was down there in the red zone. So I'm past the point of coddling Bryce Young. I passed that like a year ago. And when he plays well, I give him credit.
I will say this.
I'm not going to give him credit.
So going to that first interception, because I think that was absolutely the first. That was the first rattle for Bryce, in my opinion.
The first interception?
Yeah, because a little bit of that is about trust, right? He had XL coming across the middle, and first of all, that should have been the PI. The defender came in, cut off XL from the ball, so he separated him before he got to the ball, right? So that should have been a PI, in my opinion. But if Xavier Legette screams across the middle on a straight line, he actually protects Bryce from the defender and the ball. You know what I'm saying? So part of this is all about protecting Bryce as a receiver too. Run crisp routes, because he trusted that Xavier Legette would make a play. And sometimes making a play is making a pass breakup, right? If you're not going to catch it, make sure no one else catches it. And so as Xavier Legette, he was running that cross route, he actually kind of drifted. And when you drift as a coach, you're always told never drift up field. When I'm running a flat route, I don't drift up field, because I'm now making it easier for the defender to come in and, make a play. And so that's what happened on that play. He shouldn't have thrown it. He should have ran it, obviously. So he was a little hesitant there. He was a little bit hesitant on a lot of ordeals today. We can talk about, the fourth and 1 in the red zone, where Sanders was actually wide open and could have just thrown him open. But, we were texting back and forth, Desmond, and, the phrase, when, what you see, you throw it. When you see it, you throw it. And what that means really is, if you see it, it means you're too late. Right? Yeah. If you see the guy open, it means you're too late, because that means the defense also sees it. So you got to throw a guy open. You got to see the guy open before he becomes open, which means you're throwing him open. And I feel like when you're hesitant, you miss a lot of those opportunities. And I think that's where he was kind of thrown off after that first interception, because he was delayed in a lot of his progressions.
It felt like, and again, I ain't going to sugarcoat. This is the worst Bryce has looked since he came back from getting benched from last year. This is the worst game he's played. However, I'm looking at this coaching staff right now, and some of the stuff they did in this game, I got a question. Offense and defense. On offense, it almost felt like they were overthinking it. You know what I mean? Like, there was a couple of times where it was like 4th and inches, and they had like an empty backfield. Like, what are we doing? And Bryce is in shotgun. Like, what are we doing? Like, let's just get back to fundamental football. It's 4th and inches. We've got one of the highest paid offensive lines in the league. Chuba Hubbard is running at a pretty good clip. We need to give him the ball even more, in my opinion. Yeah. Line it up. Let Chuba get that 4 yards he's going to get leaning forward, and keep it going instead of trying to be cute with 5 wide receivers and it's all spread out. And no, don't do that. And they did that a couple times during the game. I don't understand it. I mentioned it during the preseason. If we started off bad, it was going to start to happen. There was going to be people starting to talk about Evero and his job security. Again, 200 yards on the ground for the 8th consecutive regular season game going back to last year. And this year you had all your bodies. This is the healthiest you're going to be like all year. And you still gave up 200 yards on the ground. You can't do it. Bobby Brown got hurt in this game. Wharton got hurt in this game. The two guys you brought in as free agents to stop the run.
To stop the run, yeah.
Wharton got hurt with a hammy or concussion.
And then he came back and got hit with a hammy.
Yeah, and then had to go back out. Then Brown got hurt at the end of the game. Can't do it. You know, something that was during that weather delay that I wrote down too, while the defense was starting to get slashed. You're down near Charlotte, so I'm sure they switched over to Commanders and Giants too, right? The main game.
They did.
While we were watching it for about, it was on for about an hour, but I noticed within the first 10 minutes of them switching it over, guess who's the player that flashed the most for me watching that game? Brian Burns had 2 sacks in 10 minutes.
He had 2 sacks, but hey, he also did not have outside containment when Jaden Daniels was getting up out of there.
Yeah, that's true too. But it just reminded me, I was like, dang, he used to play here. You know how many times I go through that where I'm like, dang, that dude used to play here.
There's a lot of players that leave here and end up having great success.
That front line for the Giants is going to be a problem. Like with the people they got on that front 4, Burns might not be the best player on the front 4, and they're going to be good. Bryce just did not look comfortable today, and I don't think it was anything the Jaguars did. Did you see?
I saw there was a lot of times where they did a double mug pressure look where they bring the linebackers in the A gap, and then they, present a threat of a potential blitz, right? And so they show 0 and then they back out, right?
Yeah.
And I think that obviously for any quarterback, it spooks you because you're like, okay, I got to get this ball out, right? So who am I going to when this ball snapped? And then once they back out, now you have to go back into your, thought pattern of what it was before you saw a double mug look. And, and that's what a good defensive coordinator does, right? He doesn't just give you vanilla looks. He makes you hesitant. He who waits, he who hesitates is lost. And unfortunately, Bryce did look a little bit rattled today when it came to, his pre-snap reads and then the progressions, right? The red zone failed to me, opening the second half. They did a great job, getting down there to the red zone. T-Mac actually had almost a tremendous catch.
That one-handed,
But we were able to have the pass interference call, which got us in there to be in a red zone threat. 4th and 1, on the 5-yard line, and he rolls to the left, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, he's going to hit Sanders, and he didn't hit him. He actually just kind of threw it away.
Yes, and
it's 4th and 1. And if we're going to dial that play up and he actually delivers, it's actually a good play call, right? But he didn't hit him. And for whatever reason, he didn't tuck the ball to try to scramble for the first down either.
That's my thing. He could have got the first. He only needed a yard. He was already right there at the line of scrimmage when he threw it away.
And so to me, that's a routine play that any quarterback with legs would just know going into that 4th and 1. If he's not open, I'm going to tuck it and I'm going to find the first down marker. For whatever reason, he wasn't. He was off today, right? That to me just says, Bryce, we need to regroup. We got to regroup and we got to redo it by next week, because that isn't a typical Bryce Young play. Because he was making those plays with his feet throughout the game. He had 40 plus yards rushing because he was extended. The first drive, he extended the play with his legs brilliantly, right? It's not there. I get an A gap blitz. The running back came in and filled the gap. And then he rolls to the right and he picks up a first down. So whatever's going on, it just might be a little bit of communication from the sideline to the quarterback. I'm not really sure, but it just needs to get cleaned up because everything about that red zone opportunity, it should have shook out way differently than it did.
That's the thing that's frustrating to me because of what you just pointed out. He was doing this stuff earlier on in the game. I think I texted you at one point, and I probably jinxed it when I texted you. It was like he was 4 or 5 or something on third down conversions, and a couple of those he ran for him and got them like pretty with ease. I'm like, oh, good. Now he's starting to put that part in his game too. That's going to help out a lot. But then that red zone interaction happened at the top of the third quarter where he could have got the first. It's almost he just had like a brain fart, I guess, or something. But you can't do that. You can't have that
brain.
Right there.
You can't have brain farts if you're the leader of the organization.
Yeah, and if you saw it on X, actually they showed it on Fox. He was going over to the sideline, and it looked like Canales was trying to console him or something. And he got mad, said something back to him, threw his helmet down. I like the fire that you recognize, hey, I messed up, but I don't want to see you messing up. This is year 3. Like for something like that, brother, just lower your head or just slide. You know what I'm saying? Just do baseball slide. You're going to get the first down. That kind of stuff snowballs. And I kind of forgot that on Friday night when I was calling a huge high school football game that snowballed. The number 1 team in the state, Grimsley, rolled my alma mater, East Forsyth. And it wasn't like a quick strike type thing where boom, they're up by 20. It was just like a continuous just grind. And then next thing you know, you look up at the scoreboard and you're like, oh man, that's what it felt like today. It's like it just felt like it slowly kept getting out of reach, but we kept doing it. Like turnovers the wrong time, interceptions. How many interceptions did he have today? Was it 2 or 3? He had 2. So he had 2 interceptions and a lost fumble. 154 yards passing ain't gonna get it in the NFL. And I know that Trevor Lawrence only threw for 178, but his team ran for 200 yards on the ground. We ran for 113 yards, 4.5 yards a clip, which ain't bad. It's actually pretty good. They had 25 carries. Bryce threw the ball 35 times. I said it on the show with Bucky last week. I don't think he needs to be throwing it 35, 40 times a game. And that happened because we got down. And if you guys are in the comment section over on YouTube, go ahead and put your comments in there. We'll pull them up here. Like Brandon Athey, who says, D didn't come to play today. What's this? Like the 6th or 7th consecutive game we've allowed 200 plus rushing yards. When we start falling behind is when we transition to pass heavy, which isn't what we need to do. Bingo, Brandon. And actually, this is the
good job, Brandon.
Yeah, this is the 8th consecutive game where we've given up 200 yards. Let me flip it to this real quick. How worried are you about the defense? Because what we saw today, it's almost like our defense amplifies whoever it is we're playing against. Because Trevor Etienne, while he's a good running back, he looked great today. It felt like only certain players were ready to play. Derek Brown was one of them. Ted McMillan was one of them. And Hunter Renfrow had a couple opportunities to make some stuff happen, but he was trying to catch some crazy passes.
Yeah, there was going back to Bryce, and we'll move on for him.
Yeah.
There were some passes where he looked brilliant. There was a pass across the middle where he threw it to Renfrow, and it was a beautiful pass. I was like, wow, that's Bryce. And Renfrow couldn't hold on to it because he got hit. Right? He got hit pretty hard. He's like, man, if you would have made that catch, you would have been a dog. And then Sanders, on the right side, he's got to make that catch, right? There was a catch on the sideline where it was a high pass. He almost got it. He should have made that catch, right?
Yeah.
Those are opportunities where your quarterback is basically saying, hey, go make a play for me. Go make a play for him. Okay. And then Renfrow on the left side, Bryce just underthrew him just a little bit. There's a lot of those types of plays throughout the game where it's like, that's what we call it, peaks and valleys, right? He had some peaks, and then the valleys were just the missed opportunities like those. But going back to this defense, you're asking.
Mm-hmm. JC Horn came out to play today. Had a great interception. And
my thing is when our defensive when our safety is our leading tackler.
Mooring, yeah.
That's a problem for me. Where's our linebackers? Okay. Christian Roseboom, second leading tackler. He had some flashes today. He actually saved the touchdown run, potential touchdown run that Etienne had on that long run that he had.
Yeah, that's 70 yards.
So he showed a lot of hustle on that play. Trevin Wallace, he had opportunities to meet a guy in the gaps there before a play got running, and he just didn't really react the way I would have, expected him to react as a linebacker leading the charge. As far as the linebacking crew goes, right? A lot of missed tackles. They were running this play like it was like a split zone. where they bring a tight end or an H back of some sort, where they flash him across the line of scrimmage in motion, and then he cracks on the defensive end, right? Cracking him out and gives the running back an opportunity to either skinny up and get through his block, or hit a stalemate at the line of scrimmage and then bounce it. That's basically what they were running the whole entire time.
Yeah.
And having Trevor Etienne, and not just him. It was him. It was
shout out to Bashan Tootin.
Tootin.
I know him from running back North Carolina A&T University. He was there. Well, he transferred out of there for his senior year. I think he finished at Virginia Tech and then got on with the Jaguars. But as soon as I saw Tootin, I was like, oh.
But they did a good job of whenever Etienne got out of the game, they did a good job of still staying committed to the run play. Right.
Yes.
And, that's where I think Carolina early on got hit by surprise with those play action plays with the tight ends. They had a hard time out the gate with Brenton Strange, who seems like he's going to be a hell of a player. But I mean, Damian, what's his name? Brian Thomas Jr.
Mm-hmm. Their lead receiver.
I think we did a pretty good job on him. He didn't really cut up too much. But Travis Hunter.
He only had one catch for 11 yards. Brian Thomas Jr. for the whole game. Yeah.
Travis Hunter's going to be special.
Travis Hunter had 6 catches for 33 yards in this game.
And I think we actually were very much so aware of him. Wherever he was on the field, I think Panthers said, hey, wherever Hunter is, we jump on him. And luckily, we probably had that mindset, because if not, the way he was catching it and reacting, so fast.
He was talking. He was out there talking today, and they're going to be an interesting team because that division can be had. The AFC South, I think it's wide open, between them and Houston. I don't know enough about Indy to put them in there. It seems like they got a quarterback situation going on up there. But yeah, this Jacksonville, if they play like this, where they're not forcing if they're not forcing Lawrence to throw it a lot. He was 19 for 31 attempts, 178 yards, 1 touchdown, the JC Horn crazy interception on there. But he had a 74.4, rating for the game. Bryce, meanwhile, 49 as his rating for the game. He took a sack. He had a couple of balls that could have been intercepted also that were not. His leading receiver was Ted McMillan, 5 catches for 68 yards, about 13 yards a catch. Ted actually played I thought Ted played well. And again, I'm not blaming this on us picking Ted or McMillan. I'm just saying it kind of points to what the other side was saying before the draft, that we need help on defense. And now I'm starting to think, as we bring this back full circle to my original question about Ejiro Evero, the defensive coordinator, I cannot remember the only time the 3-4 defense has ever worked in Carolina was when Don Capers was here, 95, 96, when we went to the NFC Championship game. And even then, when we had it, it worked because of who we had at linebacker. You got to remember who we had: Lamar Lathan, Kevin Green, Sam Mills. You know what I'm saying? You got to have dudes at the linebacker
Hall
spot.
of Famers.
We don't have them. We don't have them to run this. So I'm just like, how long is the leash here on Ejiro Evero? Because this is year 3 of Evero, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Because he was he carryover from?
I believe that's year 3.
Yeah, because he came in with Frank Wright. So they kept him. Canales kept him because he knew him, but he's not his guy. He didn't hire him as a defensive coordinator. So I feel like if this starts to slip really fast, and we're like at 0-3 or something, and we've given up 3 more 200-yard rushing things, whatever, Ejiro Evero to me is on the hot seat, and maybe that's a hot take, an hour after the first game of the season. But I'm carrying this over from the past 2 years, and this is the first time we've really saw him. This is the healthiest his defense is going to be. And they came out of this game banged up. So it's not going to get better in terms of health. I'm worried. I'm worried more about that than I am about Bryce Young, because we've seen Bryce bounce back from this type of game or whatever. And some of that I'm blaming on play calling. And we talked about that earlier. But the defense, I'm not really sure what to do to fix the defense, because some of it's like tackling, taking the right angle, getting the guy's way.
Some of it's like playing football.
Playing football. Some of it you can't really do anything about unless you choose to, let's go play some football. And I don't know, man. I don't think we have the right personnel to run a 3-4. Like, it just doesn't feel. It feels like everybody can run on us, and it's always right up. Left tackle, left guard, or right tackle, right is right up the seam, like literally half the time, and they're hitting a hole, boom, and they're like 5 yards into the the next level before we start bringing them down, which is why you have a safety leading in tackles for the game. It's like that was the main thing I came away from this game frustrated about, was watching our defense get shredded when this whole time we've been like, Derek Brown's a first round pick. We're getting back. He was all pro the year before, and they added all this meat in the middle, and J.C. Horn got his bag, and look at they added this, they added that, blah blah. It's the same thing. It looks like the exact same thing, and unless we get in shootouts where Bryce is on, like if Bryce was on today, that game's probably 32-29. You know what I'm saying? It would be going back and forth, but he was off today, which led to the snowball, and that's why we couldn't score any points. That was my main takeaway on the defensive side. On the offensive side, I want to ask you this question: how hard it is to run it. So I was thinking about this when they scored the touchdown. The Panthers scored the touchdown in the fourth. They did it in their no huddle, right?
Yeah.
I think I've asked you this before, but I want to ask you again. Why do NFL teams not go back and run or copy the 1990s Buffalo Bills K-gun offense? Is there a particular reason why nobody does it?
Was that just no huddle?
Pretty much, yeah, the whole game.
You showing your age, Desmond. I don't know nothing about that.
Are you serious? Look, okay, so Buffalo went to 4 straight Super Bowls with the number one explosive offense in the league, right? The K-gun offense is basically Thurman Thomas is your lead back. He don't ever come out.
Yeah, I know that. I know him.
You got Andre Reed on one side. I think Don Beebe was the wide receiver number 2, and you got Jim Kelly who ran it at Miami. So basically,
they were just going tempo
all game. The K-gun, and it helped because the defense couldn't sub because you're literally lining up. Boom, boom, boom. You're not really subbing at all, and nobody's done it since the Bills. Really,
I'll say this:
a little bit.
It's early in the league. It's early in the season. They're in Jacksonville.
It was hot.
Conditioning definitely takes a toll on all of these guys, as you can see. Hamstring pull like that screams. Soft tissue might be a little bit out of shape or outworked, right? Like it's just one of those things, especially if you are having training camps in South Carolina as opposed to Minnesota or California or Washington or even DC get that humidity, right? So as far as these guys, having, the conditioning for an offense like that in the first week of the season, that's got to be hard. Right. Obviously, I think to your point, you find a rhythm when you are in an offense that is capable of having go-to plays that can run a tempo offense and catch guys off guard. But your offense has to be capable of doing that as well. Right. You got T-Mac. He's new. You got XL. He was here last year, but he is also in the making. And obviously we're as far as him being a guy that's in the making, right now we need you to make, right? And that's kind of how the fans are approaching this, right? And he's there on all the plays. Like the one that he didn't get, his foot down. Yeah. He's gonna watch film and say, I just gotta get my foot down. And we extend that drive, right? And then there's, I just need to run a more crisp route. And there's going to be a lot of moments on tape for a lot of these young guys that hopefully are wow moments, right? Where it's, this is the first game of the season. And just like we saw last year where the Carolina Panthers went from what they were in the beginning of the season and what they were at the end of the season, hopefully you can see that within one game, right? Next week, they play the Arizona Cardinals. The Saints gave them a run for their money. And that's an opportunity for you to come into this thing and say, hey, where are we on this? How can we measure ourselves in the league right now? Because this was not our best showing. Everybody knows it. Defensively, we got to make tackles. We got to fit our gaps. We got to make sure we contain the edge. I can't. I coach football right now, and we yell at our guys, contain.
Yep.
If you do not contain, you're coming out of the game, because we are asking you to do the one thing, which is not give up explosive plays, right?
Yeah.
Because if you contain, it makes the next guy have to fill his gap. Now we can say, hey, now you have to fill your gap. If you're not filling your gap, you out of here.
Do your job.
So do your job, right?
Do your job, man. Don't worry about the guys. Do your job. And it's one of those plays I remember specifically. I think it was ETN. He was coming around the left edge of the line, like in the second half. And literally the Panther defender that was there, his entire back was turned. He's facing the defensive line or the offensive line like this, and ETN's just running behind him. Like literally, I'm just like, I'm doing the Leonardo DiCaprio gift thing where I'm like, oh look, like right there, look, there he is, there he goes, and I feel like I was doing that all game. Some of the comments from in here kind of echo this. Willie Smith, who's a Panther super fan, said it was bad, but everybody calm down. We got 16 games to go. We had some good things happen, but a lot of bad also happened. And then I also wanted to point this out from what Willie said. I understand we lost the first game, became podcasters, influencers, and some fans stopped getting ready to blow the team up, believe in Panthers. It's not just one game though, Willie. Like this is this is built up over years.
Me and Willie on the same path.
Yeah,
Desmond, on the other hand, he's been dealing with this for about 8 years. This is the 8th year.
Bro, I was telling Lindsay, our producer, she was just like, Panthers. And I was like, welcome to my hell. This is the 7th year that I've hosted Believe in Panthers. And this is what we are. This is it. This is what we do. Yeah. Now, I hold out hope that they're going to take this and get better from it. And maybe it was just a bad matchup with the heat and everything else. That's possible. But I didn't see they could get up and down the field on offense when they wanted to. And they did seem like they were dedicated to running the ball, especially early with Chuba, which I liked. But then once they got behind, that went away. So how do you want to close this?
Look, this is what we can close it with. At the end of the day, games, whether you win or you lose, especially early in the season, guys are still figuring themselves out. Jaguars might not actually be who they actually think they are, right? They might have just had the Carolina Panthers on the Panthers' worst day, right? And hopefully that's the case. And maybe we got the Jaguars on their best day. I mean, they had so many penalties and they still were able to outbattle us, right? Like they had so many. They came out very sloppy in the second half. I really thought
they did. Yeah.
Hey, maybe this is our opportunity to make a move. But then we got there in the red zone. We stalled out. Like we couldn't drive a stick shift. And so I think this is how we're gonna close this out. Yes, this does feel like 2023, 2024. It's the first week, and that's kind of been the pattern, right? So you should feel a certain type of way, but you shouldn't panic. Okay, what? Carolina, do not panic. This is if I'm a coach or a player, these are the details that we got to work on. Okay, we got to be disciplined. Third down discipline. Okay, even though we were very good on third downs at one point. Okay?
We're doing great. We're doing so good.
But it comes down to the drops, right? The drops and the penalties, the costly penalties. And actually, if you think about it, we had costly penalties in preseason. We didn't have a lot of penalties. We had costly penalties.
Just wrong time. Yeah.
Wrong timing. So having a little bit of sense of awareness of the situation of football, right? Be a football guy. Be a guy that loves football enough to know the situations before you're in those situations, which is the reason why I'm still scratching my head on that red zone, because that's such a situational thing that could have just actually projected the Panthers back into this game. Get off the field, right?
I gotta read this to you because I don't even know why I went over to look at it. I'm glad I did because it kind of puts a little bit more clarity on what just happened. I went over to go look at the team stats for the game, right?
Yeah.
And keep in mind, Panthers had what 3 turnovers?
Yeah, 3 turnovers.
And then 2 turnovers on down, right?
Yeah.
So we were talking about I went to go look and see how many penalties that Jacksonville had compared to us. I'm just going to rattle through this real quick. So team stats, first downs. Carolina had 15 first downs in the game. Jacksonville had 19. Total plays. Carolina had 61 total plays on offense. Jaguars had 63. Total yards. Carolina somehow managed to get up to 255 by the time they got to the end of this game. Jaguars only had 378.
Hey, you an a-hole for how you said that.
I'm just being real.
Keep going. Though.
I'm just being real. I'm just being real here. Total drives. The Panthers had 10 total drives in this game. Jacksonville had 10 drives in this game. Yards per play. Carolina 4.2. Jacksonville 6.0. A lot because of the rushing. Right. Passing yards. Carolina 142 yards passing. Jaguars 178. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the main difference in this game, Jacksonville rushed for 200 yards. We rushed for 113. They rushed 32 times. We rushed 25.
No, the difference is that 4.5 yards per carry versus
compared to 6. Now, here's the thing. Penalties. We only had 4 penalties for 35 yards in this game. Jacksonville had 11 penalties for 93 yards in this game. Now, a lot of it came from that pass interference there. So that kind of balloons out a little bit. We had 3 turnovers. They had 1. Possession. We had the ball for 29 minutes in this game. You know how long Jacksonville had the ball in this game? 31 minutes.
Good Lord of mercy.
You take away the 3 turnovers that the offense the offense had that led to scores. And what happens? It's a different game, right? I mean, so basically you boil it down to
basically take the 3 and they scored on all 3, right?
Yeah, they scored the first interception that bounced up in the air and was caught. I can't even put that one number on.
Hey, listen. What you're doing is you're spreading hope. You're spreading belief, Desmond. If you are listening to this podcast, just know that we are right there. And,
right.
And Bryce Young is the answer to our situation here.
Only Bryce can fix Bryce at this point.
We know that Bryce has fixed Bryce. So everybody relax. That's what I'm trying to get to here, man. Look,
if we see this again next week, though, it's gonna be. There's a lot of hot people on Twitter right now, like still trying to calm down from what they saw.
Calm down, ladies and gentlemen.
Again, it's not just one game.
Y'all know some fans right now that are over there scratching their head, going out to cut their lawn in the rain, whatever they're doing. Tell them to check out Carolina Panthers Believe with me and Desmond because look, you're gonna get the real. That was bad. That was bad ball, but all it takes is a little bit more discipline. And the fact is, we were right there. 3 turnovers lead to touchdowns.
You ain't gonna win games.
You ain't gonna win games that way.
Yeah, it ain't
offensive line, early false starts, miscommunication, undercut over. It just a lot of that stuff undercuts. The flow of the game early, right? So, tackling technique, like stuff on defense, like the stuff that you are supposed to do to make sure a guy like ETN doesn't have big runs, and the chunk plays and whatnot. You got to get off the field. Yep. Critical third down conversions. You got to be able to react, and you got to be able to execute the scheme. Yeah, we want to talk Evero and all that stuff, but these players are getting paid to execute the scheme. Yeah. All right. Because we're going for the heads of the coordinators. That's not the problem. The problem is the players got to make sure they are in position to make plays.
I will agree with you on that part because I get into that conversation a lot on the high school level too, where I'm like, well, I mean, the play was fine. The players have to actually execute it. They do that and they'll be fine. And again, you can't have 3 turnovers and expect to win in the NFL. Sometimes you can, but you can't expect to win in the NFL with 3 turnovers. And they were early, like 2 of them were early. And it just kind of created this thing where Jacksonville scored 17 points in the second quarter. And we never got into sync. Well, no, that first drive, third quarter, looked like they were doing after they didn't convert that's when it felt like it was just like, okay, what are we doing? What are we doing? And again, looking at the overall team stats, I think we made Jacksonville look better than they actually are. Yeah. And I think that we made ourselves look worse than we actually are, if that's the best way to put it.
That's the best way to put it.
Okay.
Because I think we are actually we self-sabotage, right? We shot ourselves in the foot. And when we did it, it looked like we didn't know what we were doing at times. That's what's scary.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, it's not that complicated. Take care of the ball.
Just don't give them the ball, man.
Take care of the ball. The chain, because I mean, even with Trevor Etienne, right? That long run that he had, that changes field position.
Yeah.
No matter what, flip-flop field positioning, stuff like that. When you get chunk plays, you're basically missing out on field position for your offense to be able to score and for your defense to keep guys away from scoring like that. The field goal kicker was actually making kicks. Those are things that, a kick here, a kick there. At the end of the game, you're thinking to yourself, dang, if we would have just, punted the ball, we wouldn't have had the opportunity to kick a field goal. Maybe our defense was actually, maybe the play calling would have been different if they were started their drive on their 20 or their 25 or their 30. You know what I'm saying? So
one of my favorite coaches here, the coaches high school, he touts it all the time. He's like, to him, the most important aspect of football is special teams because it flips the field. Like it's all about positioning where you're going to be at. And if your special teams are on point, you can do a whole lot of stuff on offense and defense. It kind of float, but it's like the forgotten aspect of the game or whatever. And I do want to say this before we get out of here. Shout out to the Jaguars. The Jaguars deserve some flowers because they played their game, and they actually I like what Cohen is doing with Trevor Lawrence, where he's not putting it all on his back. We just talked about this, where I was like, I joked that he's the worst quarterback in the league. He's always like ranked around 15 or 14 or whatever, but his stats though for his career are pretty good, and he's only 25, and it feels like with ETN, and now he's got Hunter on the outside to go along with the other Hunter, Travis Hunter. Now he's got some pieces that he can actually play with on offense. The defense, if they play like they did today, Jacksonville's going to have a little something to say, and it's about time. Again, it makes me feel like Trevor Lawrence is 30 years old. He's only 25. He's been in the league for like 5 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he's
young talent.
And if he's a game manager, so be it. But he can be Tom Brady was a game manager. You know what I mean? Like he can be a game manager and be just fine in this league. If Jacksonville starts winning, they won't look at Trevor Lawrence like they did previously, that he can't do it or whatever. And maybe based off what we saw today, if they play like that, they'll be in a lot of games. If we don't turn the ball over, I think we're going to be in a lot of games. Yeah. And we kind of thought that going into the season. If we just play basic, Pop Warner, don't turn the ball over football and hand the ball off to Chuba, throw it to Tet. Apparently, like it felt like Xavier Legette was forgotten in this game. Like Tet kind of became
he wasn't forgotten. Yeah. He had 7 targets.
He only caught what?
3.
How many calls he catch? 3. Yeah. And a couple of those were sideline type joints, like you say, he didn't get his foot down, that kind of thing.
It'd be interesting if we can see Jimmy Horn Jr. next week.
That was curious that they had him inactive because they did seem like they need some kind of speed or something out there. I don't know why he was the one chosen to be inactive. Like Bryce and Tremaine got the last wide receiver spot for this week. Maybe that switches for Arizona. But I would like to see some Jimmy Horn.
But this is what we're going to do. What we're going to do next week, we're going to hopefully heal these guys up that got hurt. Hamstring injuries usually have some time. But the other injury, who was that got injured? Bobby Brown?
Bobby Brown got hurt right towards the end. I don't know.
Hopefully it's nothing crazy and he can come back and play next week. But most importantly, Derek Brown is healthy. Okay. Derek Brown is healthy and you can always build on that. All right.
They did start running away from him. I didn't notice that.
They actually started doing that because I remember seeing one play. They showed like this. They showed the line of scrimmage view. Was it a replay?
Yeah.
Derek Brown gave this boy one arm. He was like, "Hey, I know they running to the other side, but I'm gonna jack you up.
Get you." You're like, watch out for him wherever 95 is. Make sure.
And then that holding penalty that they showed on the left guard, I think it was.
Oh yeah. That was like,
when he came through, it was like watching King Kong come tearing down a building.
Like trying to stop a Ford Expedition coming through.
But this is what we can build on the run game, which was foundational with Chuba. We can build on T-Mac and the chemistry that Bryce Young was able to find him throughout the course of the game. there's other things that we're going to be able to talk about on Tuesday when we let the dust settle. But for right now, that after that game, the good was Chuba Hubbard.
So are we back on our regular Tuesday morning schedule? You just can't that one. That's it.
Yeah.
Chuba, that was it. Are we back on our Tuesday morning deal now? The season's back in, or
yeah, let's go Tuesday morning.
What was it 10:30? We were doing
10:30.
Yeah. We'll do our well, that one won't be live. We'll tape it on Tuesday morning. It'll come out later on the day, Tuesday.
Yeah. Stay tuned, but breathe, adjust, relax, watch the rest of the football week. Get ready for next week. Coach Canellas and the GM Dan Morgan. Use this time to just relax.
There's going to be a banger on here in about 2 hours on NBC and Peacock. Baltimore taking on Buffalo in the Sunday night game of the week. So,
hey, Kev, hold on before we get out of here. Kevin, Renfro wasn't dropping balls; he was getting hit.
He got hit like in the sternum.
He was getting bombed on.
He was getting blown up.
Boom.
So he got hit like 2 or 3 times. Yeah.
If he could have caught those balls, it would have been amazing for him to do so, sir.
Like if it was that easy to catch those balls, there's 32 NFL teams looking to hire whoever that is that can do that with ease. Like it was like bang bang. He caught it and then caught a shoulder pad to the chest or stomach or wherever, and he had the first down catch too. Like he caught that one, and that's in the middle of the field.
I can't wait till the 22 view come out so I can actually watch it and see what happened.
Yeah, so we'll get into all of that. If we'll any remnants from today's game, we'll get into that at the top of Tuesday. We didn't get a chance to talk about Spitgate and Jalen Carter and all that stuff. We'll get into that.
We'll get into that. Yeah,
all that stuff on
if
this week's
spit
episode.
In my face, you better.
Yeah,
you
that
better
was
not. You better not.
You yeah,
you better not.
Like you don't do that.
That.
That's like ultimate form of disrespect. Like even if it was a mistake, like you don't. My mama don't you let that boy spit on you like that. Yeah, that's we'll get into that. The whole cultural aspect of what that was about, and then of course Carolina taking on Arizona next Sunday, and we'll get an injury report. We'll go through all that with you guys. But make sure you rate and subscribe the Believe YouTube channel. Of course, you can catch us here. It's our exclusive video home. You can catch us across all major podcast platforms for the audio. This will drop on audio here in a bit. And we're here every Sunday. We're here to help console you. We're here to help cheer with you. We're here to,
raise the morale.
Raise the morale.
Ronaldo said he want more Rico. I want more Rico too. 1-2 punch. Put Pony in there. They need to go more Pony, huh?
We got to get Puerto Rico in there. We'll get through all the scenarios and stuff then. But Sundays are where you can come in and interact with us live going forward on the Believe Podcast Network here on their YouTube channel. So go ahead and subscribe. So when we go live, you'll see the notification. You can hop in here like everybody has. Appreciate everybody coming in today. We'll be back live next Sunday, and we'll have a new episode probably Tuesday or Wednesday. I believe we'll drop it on the YouTube channel and all the podcast platforms. But until then, Panthers fall to Jaguars 26-10 to open the 2025 season. We will be back midweek. Keep pounding.